Hey friends, welcome back. Today we are going to read and discuss some of the story elements of this big book, Old MacDonald's Noisy Farm. This is an adaptation, or it's a different version of Old MacDonald, the song, the poem that we read yesterday. And that means it's an adaptation. It means somebody took that old story, the old poem, the old song, and rewrote it and changed it a little bit. So some of the characters and the setting and the plot will be the same, and some of it will be a little different. And we'll talk about that too. This version is by Jeffrey First, and this is actually a reader's theater. So we'll talk about that too. It's a little bit different than books we've read before. Here we go. The first page here we have our characters of Old MacDonald's Noisy Farm. The narrator. The narrator is the person that tells the story. Chorus of animals, and that just means it's just a group of animals. Old MacDonald and Mrs. MacDonald. And the setting is a farm. That's where the story takes place. Remember, it takes place at a farm early in the morning. So not only where, but when. The words that you're going to, the words that you're going to see in this: ducks, farm, here, horses. The sight words that you're going to see: here, I, many, the. Enrichment words, which means words that are a little bit bigger, but very important to the story: animals, everywhere, quiet, something. Here we go with the story. This is, let's get this over a little bit. There we go. This is, as I said, it is a reader's theater. And the difference with reader's theater and just a normal text is that reader's theater tells us who's speaking. Like over here, it says narrator, and then there's the words after it. The words after where it says narrator are being said by the narrator. Okay? The narrator says, the sun comes up, a rooster calls out. Then the chorus of animals says, cock-a-doodle-doo. The narrator says, it's a new day on the E-I-E-I-O farm. Old MacDonald owns this farm. Old MacDonald says, I like my farm. The narrator says, Old MacDonald has many animals on his farm. Old MacDonald says, I have ducks. Mrs. MacDonald says, I hear the ducks. And then the chorus of animals, quack, quack. Old MacDonald says, I have pigs. Mrs. MacDonald says, I hear the pigs. The chorus of animals says, oink, oink. Old MacDonald says, I have cows. Mrs. MacDonald says, I can hear the cows. Chorus says, moo, moo. Old MacDonald says, I have horses. Mrs. MacDonald says, I hear the horses. The chorus says, nay, nay. Old MacDonald says, I have many animals. Mrs. MacDonald says, ducks, pigs, cows, horses. Chorus says, quack, quack, oink, oink, moo, moo, nay, nay. The narrator says, Old MacDonald had many animals on his farm. They quacked, oinked, mooed, and neighed here, there, and everywhere. The chorus says, quack, oink, moo, neigh. The narrator says, but Old MacDonald did not have something that he really wanted. Look at this picture. All these animals making all their noises. And Old MacDonald, he doesn't look like super happy right now, does he? But he's got his hands over his ears. Maybe it's too loud. But Old MacDonald did not have something that he really wanted. Old MacDonald says, quiet! The end. like to talk about the story elements and put them in our story map. Okay. Over here. Oops. Straighten this back out. All right. So the characters in Old MacDonald's Noisy Farm are Old MacDonald. Yep. He's in there. And Mrs. MacDonald. And we also had the group of animals. Remember what that group of animals was called? A chorus. Good. Chorus of animals. And then we had one other character. And this other character was not in the poem or the song. Do you remember what that was? The narrator that tells the story, right? That's important. Okay, what was the setting? Remember the setting? Was it a farm? And it was in the morning, wasn't it? The early morning? So, and the Old MacDonald poem or song, it was at the farm in the daytime. Well, this book, this story, this adaptation of it got a little bit more specific. Remember, it gave more detail. Not only is it in the daytime, but it's in early morning time. Okay. All right. Then what happens, or what's the plot? So a lot happened, right? Old MacDonald was telling about his animals, so we could say that. Now, in this book, there was a problem, wasn't there? A lot of times, stories will have a problem and a solution in their plot, and that's part of the plot that we need to discuss. What was the problem? Yeah, his animals were so loud, right? Right. They were making a lot of noise. The animals were making noise. They were, whoops. That was the problem. Remember, he was making that face and covering his ears. It was too loud, right? So that was the problem. That the animals were making too much noise. What was the solution? That was how did they fix that problem? Yeah, he made them be quiet, right? Right. Old MacDonald made them be quiet. Old MacDonald made the animals be quiet. So, if you notice, in our poem or song of Old MacDonald, we said that the plot was Old MacDonald's animals make noises, which is the same plot in this version. So it's the same that way, but it's a little different because the author of this book added a little bit more detail, and that's the difference. Old MacDonald told about his animals; they were making too much noise, and then Old MacDonald made the animals be quiet. So you can see how an adaptation or a different version of a story will be similar or the same, but also different. There's often little differences like there were here. Okay. Did a nice job with that. And I encourage you, when you are hearing or reading stories, be looking for these things, the characters. See if you can point out the characters to yourself, the setting, where and when the story takes place, and the plot, what happened. And a lot of times, remember, there's a problem and a solution. So be looking for those things as you're reading stories.